everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you to everyone who's coming on. Welcome to all of my replay viewers. I'm sorry you didn't catch us live, but you can always tweet at me, Love, Hope, Advent, if you have any questions or want to interact. And I'm going to flip my camera around so I can say hello. Hello, everyone. I think I'm going to have to move my camera a little bit. The sun is getting straight in my face. All right. Here we are. I'm straight. Thank you so much for joining me right now and coming on. If this is your first time live, my name is Keely. I'm the owner of lovehopeadventure.com, and I blog about the marriage relationship, intimacy in marriage, how to have a deeper relationship, and sometimes I do some blog like lifestyle type posts. Let me get my camera straight here. I'm standing up today. It's a little bit different with this camera angle to stand versus my typical sitting. So thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to talk with you about marriage, and I think if you read the title, you will see that I said marriage is a series of happily ever afters. And you know, if you ever see a show or a movie and whether it's like Disney or not, okay, the characters fall in love, they have this really difficult time, all this stuff keeps them apart, and then they finally get married or they finally resolve the issue and they ride off into the sunset, or they ride off in the carriage. Like Cinderella always comes to mind on this because she goes through all that turmoil and all that trouble and she finally gets to be with her Prince Charming, and then they drive off together in the carriage happily ever after, right? So in my opinion, marriage, including healthy marriages, is just a series of happily ever afters. So you and your spouse, you guys are going to go through times that are difficult and hard, and then it's going to resolve, and it's going to be that feeling of, happy. We're happy. And it's like happily ever after. But then the sequel starts, right? And something else comes along and starts causing all this tension, right? And all of these difficulties and problems start happening. And then it reaches a resolution, and we're back to happily ever after. And that's what real marriage is like. That's what healthy marriages do. You go through seasons of time where you're struggling with one another, where you're having a difficult time in your marriage, or whether maybe life comes. Oh yeah, she's over her marriage. That's awful. That's awful. And I encourage your friend, I Love Motherhood, I encourage your friend to just give it time. Because there are going to be times in your marriage where you're happy and unhappy. And you're going to have times when you're happy again and you're unhappy. And I think sometimes people have this very poor concept or expectation of marriage. We think that marriage is like immune to unhappiness, and I should never do anything I'm unhappy doing. Well, I am never happy cleaning toilets, but I still do it. I'm never happy doing dishes. Yes, there is a season for everything. Exactly, Kelly. And there is a season in your marriage where it's going to be tough and difficult. And then there's a season in your marriage where it's going to be great. And we need all of those seasons. It's so important that you know that. You need those tough seasons with your spouse. You need the times when everything is falling in on you guys and you're fighting against those things. Oh yes, music and podcasting. No, I'm not going to listen to podcasts that often, but I do like some. And actually, I did record one this morning with Bella Rose from Delight Your Marriage podcast. So I will let you guys know when that one comes out. So yes, podcasting is great for those that want to have something to distract themselves. I don't listen to a lot of podcasting, but I'm huge into watching people on Periscope. But when it comes to your marriage, it's so important that you have a healthy expectation that there are going to be difficult times. There's going to be times when you and your spouse are not going to be on the same page with one another, and you're going to have struggles and difficulties. So sometimes it's going to be you guys fighting together against the world. Sometimes you're going to be fighting against each other. But those are just a season. And if you tuned in the other day when I was talking about couponing and how that taught me about different seasons in marriage, I was just talking about how I used to coupon and I loved it, and I thought there will never be a time when I don't do this. But guess what? I'm in that time now where I don't coupon anymore, and it's just because it doesn't work out and I put my time into other things. Same thing in your marriage. So there is a season in your marriage that you're going to go through. It's different seasons. And what I like to tell people is that if you aren't currently in the happily ever after, you're just in that part of the movie, if that's what the analogy we're going to stick with, that there's a lot of turmoil and struggles, and it just makes that happily ever after even more meaningful sometimes. And you come back together and you're closer and you're stronger. So if you or your friend is in a place right now where you're not feeling super happy in your marriage, you really should give it time. Just give it time. Do what you can to give it time. Seek the help you need. Don't live your marriage in a bubble. But also don't have this expectation that marriage should be happy, happy, happy all the time. Because life is not happy all the time. And you're not happy all the time. And yeah, Kelly, you're in a waiting season. And that is hard for your marriage. I know it has to be. We all get into those places. Being in a waiting time is very hard on a marriage, especially depending on what that waiting season is. And then there will be a different season that will come. And you should embrace them. Embrace those seasons, even the difficult ones. Understand that even in the difficult seasons, God will use that for His glory and for His honor. And that's hard to accept, and it's super hard to be reminded of in the midst of it. But with each difficult season you go through, you have that ability to be more learned and more ready for it and able to accept it better. So that's just kind of what was on my mind today, and I wanted to share it with you guys, that marriage is just, it's a series of happily ever afters. And I don't know where you are today. Maybe you're in the sequel. Maybe you're at the start of the movie. Maybe you're in the happily ever after. But I encourage you to just keep on pushing forward in your relationship and praising God for what He brings you through and how He provides for you. So again, if you want to find out what I'm blogging about, my name is Keely. I'm at lovehopeadventure.com. You can check me out over there and see what's on my mind this week. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. I usually come on around 1, Monday through Fridays, and so I should be on around the same time tomorrow, unless